Alright troops, what's going on? Got Jero here, and I've changed quite a bit in the last week. I've also played a couple of various builds and different decks. Mainly Azorius Stoneblade, I played Grixis Shadow in between, and a couple others. And yeah, so the changes that you see here are already a nod towards two cards that we're going to see out of Throne of Eldraine that are probably going to make it into our main board. I'm going to go over the spoilers real quick, and then we're going to go over why we changed what we changed. So the two cards that I was talking about are Brazen Borrower and Drown in the Loch, I think. So Brazen Borrower replaces Nimble Obstructionist 1/1. We'll at least test it out. It's not yet clear if we need to have the blocking ability or if the stifle's better or the bounce effect here. But both creatures are better in different metas, where Brazen Borrower is great when your opponent's playing a very interactive deck where you on the one hand want to generate value and on the other hand need to get rid of, let's say, a Ren and 6 or whatever in between. Then Brazen Borrower is really good. On the other hand, of course, Nimble Obstructionist is just the better card against big mana especially and control. So we'll test them out both, and we might end up playing a split between the two of them. But one advantage in comparison to Vendilion Clique is, again, that Brazen Borrower is not a legendary creature, so we can also have multiples on the battlefield, which is important to me. Then we have Robber of the Rich, which is also a card that we could be playing with Bitter Blossoms and so etc. That's not the same deck, of course, but we could be building some sort of Grixis Rogue deck with Robin Hood here, Brazen Borrower, Bitter Blossom, and then just win by basically casting our opponent's spells. So that would be quite interesting. Then there are a couple of really beautiful cards. I really like the art design that they implemented for this set. I think it's one of the most beautiful sets in all of Magic. The storybook versions here are just insanely beautiful, and I was actually looking to at least include one copy into my deck just because I find them so beautiful. And well, with Brazen Borrower we probably have one of the most beautifuls in the contention here to be put into our deck, so that's pretty cool. So but the most important card for us probably is Drown in the Loch. So Brazen Borrower, Nimble Obstructionist both have their pluses and cons, but Drown in the Loch is just a very versatile, very, well, rather easy to turn on counterspell slash terminate, and that's really just great. Because with two cards in their graveyard, if they're using fetch lands or whatever and they're turning themselves on most of the time, and if not, then we have Thought Scour to help them a bit. So this also brings me to the changes. So I put in another tar pit here for additional value because I took out a couple of other creatures. Thought Scour in here already to support mainly Drown in the Loch. So we're sometimes casting it onto ourselves, but most of the time casting it onto our opponent. At least in the first turn. Afterwards we'll switch it around. Then we're playing with 4 Snapcaster Mages now, and I took out the 3 Jace Vryn's Prodigy for 2 reasons. On the one hand, as I said, I wanted to have a couple of slots for Drown in the Loch. On the other hand, Jace is just worse the more interactive the meta becomes. Jace is great if you're fighting against combo, if you're fighting against many linear strategies, But if your opponent's just having a bolt, or against control, of course, but if your opponent's like interacting with bolts and fatal pushes, then Jace just becomes somewhat worse. And currently, aside from Azorius Stoneblade, John is probably the like deck occupying one of the biggest slots in the metagame right now, also because people are just enjoying John so much. And therefore, we're trimming on our susceptible or removal susceptible creatures, and just get in here with 4 Snapcasters, an additional Terminate, and an additional Logic Knot are the 2 cards that are going to be replaced by excuse me, Drawn and Gloch. I think that 2 should be the right number here, and that you don't want to be playing 3 or 4, because it's also pretty easy to counter by just like targeting a relic or another spellbomb onto yourself, and sometimes you're playing against, I don't know, Eldrazi Tron or whatever, and those are just not getting anything into the graveyard, and therefore I want to have the option of still maintaining a couple of Logic Knots here in the main board. Then I put in 3 Force of Negations into the main board. Force is here because for the most part we want to be able to counter things like Teferi, because in Ghent I started out pretty well. Personally, I went like sort of 4-1, only losing to one Jund opponent. And there, on the one hand, I drew really bad, and on the other hand, Ren and 6 is just a difficult card to deal with for us. Therefore, so Ren and 6 is a reason, Teferi is a reason, Karn is a reason, and since we changed the face of our deck here quite a bit, I'm willing to go with 3 here in the main board, to also go and protect our Kolaghan's command if we need to go after an equipment or whatever. To counteract the slight decrease in value that we have in the main board, I put in another Creeping Tar Pit, and then in the sideboard 4 Ancestral Visions to replace Inquisitions here against all the mid-range decks, especially Jund and 5 color. Then Grixis Jailer, because it's just a very good card, not only against still against Dredge and Graveyard strategies, of course, but also against Wirza, where it doesn't prevent us from doing anything whatsoever and just stops their combo entirely, and they don't play too many removal spells, therefore rendering a couple of the cards just non-functional, and we can still attack with it, which is also pretty great. 4 Fulminator Mages for Tron, of course. Here I still see the problem of Veil of Summer, which I just don't think is a good card for Magic in general. It's basically, no, it's so much more than a counterspell, right? It's a counterspell that draws a card and makes everything hexproof, and that in green is just like everybody who's playing against it knows that that's just not fair. But anyhow, so Kalitas still in here because we just need it against a couple of creature decks and other stuff, and Scorpion God also against most of the mid-range decks. So one deck that I actually don't think that we can win with this iteration anymore, win against with this iteration anymore, is Burn. Like, we have to be extremely lucky to win against Burn, I think, because we basically don't have any means of life gain except for Kalitas, which is just super slow. And usually our Collective Brutality functioned as some kind of bridge to fill the gap between our first and second turn, and then the time that we get a Kalitas down. Ancestral Vision, I think, is actually a pretty good sideboard card here. So I don't want to play Ancestral alongside Discard Magic. Excuse me, my throat is a little sore. Because most of the time you want to be playing one or the other on turn 1, and that blocks and decreases the value of the other. But against mid-range, etc., I'm willing to cut the Discard Magic entirely and bring in the Ancestral Visions. Also because against control as well, there we might be cutting Lightning Bolts, because there we can utilize the discard spells later on. But also because we can always pitch additional copies of Ancestral Vision to Force of Negation, which is pretty good. So we're trying that out, and we're jumping into a league here. Well, let's see. So I already realized that the amount of value that we're generating through Snapcaster Mages in the main board for many matchups just isn't enough. It's not comparable to what we did before. And this might also be Stoneblade deck. The main objective is to so if he's on a Stoneblade deck, then it might make sense to target him to potentially hit a couple of artifacts, equipments, whatever. And yeah, for the most part, unwilling to reveal Nimble Obstructionist. So Narset, Path, and Snapcaster, and then there's a Jace. Alright. So I think we're going to go after Narset here. Snapcaster Mage just isn't too annoying just yet. And at this point, I think that our opponent is indeed playing a control deck and not. Snapcaster, Thoughtseize, we're milling a lot of good stuff here. But on the plus side, we still have a Nimble to get rid of that. Still not fetching? Ah, that's risky, friend. That is risky indeed. So our opponent doesn't have anything in the graveyard just yet, and that is worth picking up with this Snapcaster. And I think as long as we keep 3 mana open, he just can't risk to do anything else, like to fetch. So I'm trying to get into a situation. I'm not gonna go with Kolagan's command here, but instead trying to get into a situation where we can indeed use K command and still okay. So now it's quite relevant. So we could be going with nimble, could also be going with a snap here. Let's start with nimble. Although that probably signals that our opponent is free to fetch. Okay, he discarded a path. Now he knows that we have the nimble, so he's probably not gonna go fetching here. Never mind. So alright, let's see what he does first. Alright, he's brainstorm locking himself anyway, so doesn't really matter. Snapcaster, also pretty good pickup, and we still have a couple of forces of negation in our deck, but at some point we need to turn the corner here. Still go with the nimble. Oh, maybe not. Alright, so I know that you have at least one Snapcaster and a Wrath of God in hand. I'm willing to go with a Cryptic here, because even if the Cryptic gets countered, then which it didn't, then we would still have a free reign to go with a Snapcaster. Opponent. All right. So this one. We could of course also just go with the fulminated mages here, but on the draw, I think we have better things to do. And this is such a hand that I was talking about. Like, we have the ability to go with our first ancestral vision in the first turn, and now any additional ancestral vision just pumps our forces, which is pretty neat. Of course, as we're only playing Snapcasters here to generate value creature-wise in our main board, becomes slightly difficult to countering stuff. Nope. Spell Pierce? Nope. And that's odd. Like, usually you wouldn't be casting Opt in response here. Disdainful Stroke. Well, I do not mind that whatsoever. Because we have like 2 cards that are being affected by that. So I think we're going to take the Snapcaster Mage here, play that one tapped, and just pass the turn. Interesting again that hopefully we're drawing a Nimble here. Alright. Our opponent might also be targeting himself. But he isn't. So I guess he's going after our Snapcaster Mage, which we also could have used here, I assume. This time around I'm going to target him with Thought Scour and not ourselves. The reason being that I expect a land to be somewhere close to the top. And we took a Snapcaster, yeah. So one land. We're going to keep the Ancestral Vision here. But if he's targeting us, I guess he's got a counterspell in hand already. Would assume. Or not. So we're starting out with just playing the land here to have Logic Knot up as well. Then we can hit our own graveyard with the Thought Scour. Not blazingly great. The problem is that a big Logic Knot is also being hit by Disdainful Stroke that we know he does have in hand. Monastery Mentor. Alright, so what we're going to do here is probably this one and one Thought Scour. Then he's going to go with Disdainful Stroke, which we're going to counter with Force of Negation. And now we still have two reasonable counter spells in hand with an additional Detach Vision in Suspense. Alright. Second Torpid here is pretty good because that enables us to have both counter spells up. Unless he has a Snapcaster Mage here. Sure. So let's see. Do you have maybe I shouldn't have gone with the Force of Negation here. And probably it does have a I think we're gonna pay here. The probability of us drawing another Logic Knot or Force, we still have 3 plus Snap or a discard spell. Yeah. All right. It's not the worst. I guess our opponent is going to go with something big here, but we should be able to get rid of it the next turn. Up until now, we've won every single fight, both on the stack and everywhere else. But now he's preparing to get something down. Luckily, we don't have a Snapcaster Mage and or Cryptic Command in our graveyard. And I'm not willing to risk it just because like he might have a Snapcaster Mage coming. Spell Snare. Oh, that's not a bad card. Another mentor. I guess if you had drawn that before, I would have done something. Mana League. Well, at least we were right about many things here. But I do believe that we don't really have... well, yeah, we do have way still. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. Alright, let's fetch real quick. Then we're gonna go return 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this one, Inquisition, yes. And there goes the mentor. Also, one more thing, like if you're playing against Grixis, don't bring in Monastery Mentor. Like, I've never seen this thing win anything against me, like not even close. So 5 is a little bit too much, right? Was in 2, 3. Arrivederci. So now, I mean, we've drawn a lot of lands. Our opponent's on 7, we're on 10, 11. But the additional copy of Creeping Torpid comes in handy here. Really like it. And next turn we would also be able to yeah, we're gonna counter that just because I don't want him to draw an additional card, and I also don't want to redirect. I think our opponent just gave up. Alright. Draw cards, draw cards. Yeah. Alright, good games. Didn't feel close. Quick break, and then I'm going to be back with round number 2. Alright. Off to round number 2. So their Ancestral Vision already being very good, both in terms of just raw value and to have something to do with it later on in the game. Apparently our... well, that was a close call. Psych kick. Cool. Our opponent's on mulligan, and I think we're going to mulligan here as well. With a... with the Serum Visions, I might have kept the hand there, but this way I'm not going to do that. Snow Swamp. Logic Knot. Alright. Yeah, so a couple of cards. I already complained about Veil of Summer. I'm of course also not a huge fan of Ren and 6, but something that I really think is an issue, like a basic issue, is that snow-covered lands by now are just superior basic lands, and that there's basically no reason to run normal basics. And in my opinion, interesting. WotC should at least address the problem by printing hate for snow basics. In combination with that, of course, Astrolabe is just a really, really strong card that I'm not the only person who thinks might be a little bit too good of a mana fixer. So if he fetches, we're definitely going to counter if he gives us the time here to just overthink our stuff. Okay. I feel like we should still counter it. Like, we don't know what our opponent's actually up to. Might be... Stoneforge, sure. Sword of Fire and Ice. So we're gonna kill the Stoneforge. What the fuck? Why is he so aggressive with his lightning bolts? Well, anyhow, we do have a couple of counter spells here, both in Logic Knot and in Cryptic. Could be playing Blood Moons as well, right? So I think I'm just gonna go with the basic island here and counter draw, and if he's just gonna go with another Stoneforge, that's fine. So I think my neighbors are just started renovating. Are you kidding me? Okay. So we have to get something down, and we have to be a little cautious about how we proceed. I definitely want to have a counterspell up from here on out. This is super annoying. So I guess he's gonna take our Snapcaster Mage here. Also an interesting choice here. Tarpid is actually good here because it enables us to also have counter magic on next turn. And then we will be potentially hitting for okay, let's see. If we bolt him, and then we attack for 9, 11. Yeah, we got lethal. Even if he kills our Snapcaster Mage here, we still have lethal. And I don't see like how he gets out of this situation unless he's got a 3-mana spell that deals 5 damage. All target player discards a card. That doesn't really matter. So now he's at 1 life. And, well, or we just attack for 5 2 times. That's probably better. And despite us drawing 4 lands more than our opponent, we still basically won on every front here. Which I like a lot. We could also just counter, but we're gonna lightning bolt him ourselves because he lightning bolted us so much. It's retribution. Alright, so post board we probably have to look out for a blood moon. Although with now we actually have to be careful. I think I want to maintain the Inquisitions in the main board. While also going with Ancestral Vision here. Nimble was good in that matchup, but if he's playing Lingering Souls, then Nimble is just not a good card. Therefore, I also probably don't want to have Ricefall. Go with this once. And one here, one here. It's not a great hand, but it's a decent hand. I guess our opponent's going to take our Thoughtseize turn 1. And then tries to go with turn 2 Stoneforge, if he can. Great. The classic 3 Snapcasters. Yeah, our opponent here has a very good drone. Probably gets a better skull, I would assume. That's actually a mistake, I think. I mean, the sword is good, but it will take him one more turn to actually get it out. And I think I'm gonna go with a Watery Grave here over a Swamp. Just because of things. So now he has to cast the sword or get it done with the Stoneforge. So we're going to be hit by the Stoneforge at least once. And a random lightning bolt. Yeah, he's equipping. And we can't do anything about it. Which sucks to a certain degree. Inquisition, eh? Yeah, go ahead. Should be taking the Force, pretty sure. So we're taking 5 damage going down to 11. And then we can kill the Stoneforge. Going down to 9, unless we draw another land. That's not yet good, but probably good at some point. Well, that makes it easy. Our opponent's hyper aggressive with what he's doing here. Without Kalitas, it's gonna be quite difficult. All right. So the problem is that Seasoned Pyromancer comes back from the graveyard, as does Smiting Helix. I cannot replay the Smiting Helix because he tapped this way, on the way that he did. But still, like, if we can't turn the corner real quick and or draw a Kalitas, or alternatively our big guy, Scorpion God, then I think we do have a problem here. Sure. What is going on, opponent? Alright, so as we know, our opponent could have also done that at instant speed. I actually want to have the lightning bolt Scorpion God is actually decent here. Problem is that it's also red, and that sort of Fire and Ice will just kill us if we went for it here. But if we get a turn where we just don't die, against whatever, then it would be quite good. Interesting. So I assume this means that he has potentially lethal in hand. Like one lightning bolt, of course, would be enough anyway. So, and now, well, we shall see. Like he has enough mana to do everything he wants here. And I think if we die, we die. Just taking our one chance here. If we can't. There we go. We dead? Yep, we dead. All right. So since our opponent is so very aggressive, I'm definitely gonna get rid of the second Thoughtseize here as well. And I might actually be willing to go with a couple of Grixis Jailers here. Just like 2. The reason being that he's sourcing a lot of his value out of the graveyard and also because I probably want to get a couple of his burn spells out in time to have to kill our creatures. Especially if we have Kalitas and Scorpion God up the ladder. Yeah, we're gonna keep that. All right. So the thing we're actually not yet going there. Hopefully he has no turn 2 Stoneforge here. Otherwise we might be fucked. Good. Alright. So I'm gonna play the Jailer. We have 2 more turns till our vision comes down. What is that, Liliana? Ashiok. Well, then we need to respond. unwilling to use it. That will cost you the Ashiok, which I think is definitely worth it. Also because Blast Zone can mob up potential cards that are there we go, Lingering Souls. And probably our opponent with the ability to kill our jailer. But if he doesn't, then we are looking alright, despite not having any or just not enough lands, I guess. So I assume he wouldn't do this if he did have another option here. He probably wanted to, or maybe he has like a 2 mana option or whatever. Or just a Blood Moon. This is going to be a basic plane and then we have a problem. Don't watch. Sure. So best case scenario is we draw a Black Source and a Bolt. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Oh man, it's always the same. It's always the fucking same. Well, we drew a Bolt, so that's that. I guess. Dreadbore and Lightning Helix, another one. I think. I mean, we need to go after the sword because if we kill it, he can just play it, so that's annoying. We get our jailer back anyway, but we can counter one thing. I can't believe, like, we're being. We drew a half of our deck and we drew 4 cards, 4 lands. Almost half of our deck, not quite. So Lightning Helix is quite annoying, but it's not super bad. Therefore, I'm rather going with Snapcaster Mage and killing one of the Stoneforgers here than force him to use the Lightning Helix. Well, never mind, I guess. Just need a Black Source, and that rather soon. This is unreal. This is unreal. It's always the fucking same. Come on, man. Oh. We're just looking for second black source here. So since we can't counter basically anything, I'm just gonna go after the spirits here. I think, yeah, he probably takes the jailer again. And now the problem becomes that even if we draw a black source and we get a Kalitas down, we're down to 6. If he draws a burn spell, then we're dead. Oh, that was a Thoughtseize even. Oh, great. Then I should have counted it. I somehow perceived it as Inquisition. So we're getting this one down. Attacking him for 2. He goes down to 9. We have a bolt left in our reservoir, plus a couple of counter spells. So if he's attacking with 3 here, and we're bolting him end of turn, then we should be good. Because our cryptic command, we cannot believe that we just didn't roll a second black source with 28 cards in our deck. But anyhow. There we go. Nope. See you, arrivederci. You dead. So, was a rough game, but mainly due to our non-drawing any lands until very, very end here. And otherwise, was pretty decent. Grixis Jailer, again, just really good. Like, even in such a removal-heavy meta here, it just took him off of like 1 or 2 turns. And also he had to target our jailers, so that was pretty neat. And we wouldn't have even if the lightning helix here or smiting helix would have just been countered by us with the logic node, then the jailer would have still prevented him from flashing it back. So yeah, pretty happy here. So quick break again and then round number 3. Alright, off we go into round number 3. Start off with a 2-0 here. And already found an opponent. Marius. Well, one more land, it would have been a keepable hand, I guess. But especially with these Thought Scours, I'm even less inclined to keep risky hands. Where's that? Potentially. Well, obviously, we do not really want to. Hmm. I actually think that we need to take the Urza here. Can kill the Golden Engineer potentially. Both is quite bad for us. No, let's go with that. We have to hit ourselves with the Thought Scours. And I was also thinking about going with a red source here, but I wanted to have double blue for Legionnaut. And thankfully he's not come along with a goblin this turn round. Which gives us a little bit more time. We always draw these instantly. So terminate, rise, fall, something. At least we can kill the Goblin Engineer now. I guess the only reason not... Okay. I was gonna say not to get a Sword of the Meek here would be if he had one in hand already. Oh my goodness. 2 Force of Negation in the bin there. I think I'm gonna go after the Mox Opal here with a K command. It appears as if our opponent is a little bit short on mana, and we might want to abuse that. This way he not only has to have another Mox Opal, but also another artifact, which of course is not hard in the deck, it's just unlikely for him to have it all at once. Vandal Prism is pretty good. Another engineer. So just in theory, we could of course let him sack something, but the Echo and then counter the ability with Nimble. But Echo Whalespring provides value just by dying, so that's not really an option. I guess the dying is also another thing, but yeah, we're going to counter this. Yeah, this one. And then we're hoping to draw Snapcasters sometime soon. Do want to counter that. Prism is certainly annoying, but something that we need to take. As soon as we have one more counterspell or whatever as a backup, I'm going to play the Nimble. But as long as we have reason to believe that we can counter something of significance, this is definitely a whir. Alright, we can force him into doing something here, which is good. Probably has to take one blue off of the Pentel Prism. And we need to counter it because as soon as Thopter Foundry resolves, we're probably just dead. And this I don't understand. I think he would always want to get a Thopter Foundry, but I guess you never know. And there is Urzal Lord High Artificer as well. So that was, of course, the reason why he sandbagged the other Mox Opal there. And this is actually a situation that I wanted to evade. Yep. I wanted to prevent it, I guess. So he's gonna cast some random stuff with Urza. Astrolabe. Yeah. Well, he's also due for like 10 lands in a row. Pithing Needle. Sure. Jason the Mind Sculptor. Sure. So let's see. If we go that's annoying. Well, maybe he doesn't attack this turn then, and instead goes with another something to cast. So we need to get rid of Urza, but the construct here is also basically unbeatable for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can activate it 2 times a turn. We need a Snapcaster. Also, Urza makes our Logic Node, of course, way worse. And there's a Snapcaster. That's pretty good. And we also do have the means to still have a logic nut up afterwards. But we hit already, like with that Thought Scour, we hit 3 Snapcasters, which is quite bad for us. We might actually go, like, he has 3 mana right now. I think I'm gonna go with Ricefall here instead. No, we can't. I should have thought about that earlier. Otherwise we don't have the logic nut anymore. We've milled over so many of our best cards in this matchup, and for that reason alone, I hate Thought Scour. Like, yeah, it digs you deep, and yeah, it enables Snapcaster Mage for at least a bit, but you just can't plan anything. So he doesn't have triple blue, and he also didn't play a land, therefore I think this time around I'm actually gonna go get something back here, and then next turn we can still go Snapcaster fold him. Oh, okay, that's also fine. Top the Foundry. It's 1 mana to activate it. We're definitely going to counter it, but just in case. So I feel like he does have a War of Invention in hand. And I think I'm gonna force the issue here and also get rid of a Mox Opal so that yeah, as I thought. Oh, Spellbomb is actually huge here. That is actually huge. Still have a couple of alright spells in hand, but losing access to 2 cryptics, 2 forces, a logic knot, that's harsh. Well, at least Urza itself won't be a big deal anytime soon. We also still have a couple of good cards coming. 2k commands, 1 force, 2 Cryptics. And he's keeping something in hand again. Hopefully not another Wear of Invention. Alright. Okay, command. So we can deal with basically anything but a Wear. I think even a Wear can't be too bad right now, just because we would probably be able to... I'm gonna bolt him here. Could also just go with Nimble. 5 and then bolt, snap bolt. Oh well, now he's dead anyway. Never mind. 1 red mana source short, of course. Yeah, it was like you drew 32 of your cards and you up until now just hit 2 lands. What the fuck? But yeah, it's fine now. So Urza is still a problem in any way, sort of fashion. Nimble is actually not good in this matchup. And I think I want to cut down on terminates. So what's the worst thing that can possibly happen to us? Urza is a problem, therefore the terminates probably have to stay. Probably can't deal with a Scorpion God, and even if he gets a Thopter Foundry down, Scorpion God should be able to get us back into the game, at least for like up to 5 Thopters. Maybe Kalitas is better. Dies to Galvanic Blast, but other than that, provides us with a lot of value, I guess. So it's not a great hand, but the 2 Kolaghan's commands alone make it somewhat playable. Now we can deal with Thopter Foundry, we can deal with Urza, we can deal with basically anything but a Tezzeret. Boo boo. So you didn't find another land. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Actually, might have. Maybe we should have cut the bolts. I guess a couple of cards here are better than Lightning Bolt. On the other hand, though, as I said, they are playing Tezzeret, etc. So, in that scenario, of course. Not a land, I guess. Yeah. That is unfortunate. I'm not gonna lie. Although in game 1, I mean, they don't need too many lands, so we're gonna take it. So are we playing the Snapcaster Mage? I think so, because we don't have anything good in the graveyard anyway, and some lists are actually running Spell Snare. I guess this one doesn't. So we're just randomly attacking here. And I'm gonna wait till he utilizes the Water Ray for something. And then I'm gonna destroy the Mox Opal, although he might have, of course, more. Yeah, honestly, I mean, keeping a one-lander certainly, and then sacrificing your artifacts so your Mox Opal gets turned off is ballsy, but I would be pissed as well. Alright, easy 2-0 against Wurza. And I like it. I like the build. I don't like Thought Scour, really don't. And as I already said, it's only in there basically to turn on the future drone in the loss. But other than that, neat. Ad nauseam. So Bag of Negation isn't going to be a thing for quite some time. And if we're taking the Summoned Spirit Guide here, then he has only 3 left, which stifles his ability to win on the stack. So I think I'm going to go with the Summoned Spirit Guide here first, and then we can deal with the Pact of Negation somewhere down the road. Especially since probably not going to go with, or he's not going to try to hit more land drops here. Lotus Bloom. Alright. So I hope we're gonna hit a Nimble until that Lotus Bloom comes down. Another Lotus Bloom. Ooh. Huh. Yeah, so we're gonna go with full here. We're hitting one land 100%, but even so, if we get like ad nauseum here, that's fine. And this is just a moto bug. Like you always hit land if they have land in hand. It's like not too funny. I'm still gonna counter draw here, because he won't be countering that. We know he has another land in hand and just a pact of negation, and I want to go on the one hand get a little bit of card advantage. On the other hand, though, I would really like to get into Snapcaster Mage. Or Nimble. Come on, man. That's already tough to swallow here. Yeah, now it's gonna get really, really, really problematic. He's definitely gonna counter something. Because why not? Like he can just counter the Snapcaster Mage here and pay for it, but he doesn't. Okay. Doesn't make it a whole lot better, of course, but now he has to cover it. Unless his other card is a land again. Yep. Sad that he drew that 5th mana there. Overall, though, I think this should be I don't want to say very good matchup, but at least decent. I hardly lose to ad nauseum ever. Though one has to say, without the Jace on the board and less filtering ability. Alright. Give me one more force, Snapcaster Mage, or a Cryptic Command Mate. Yeah, I think my neighbors are renovating right now or something. And that's what I thought for XNL Live. But we need to let it slip here. I want to see what it did. Put one card on top, one card on the bottom. Alright. So fall is hopefully pretty good here. Another Spirit Guide and Spoils of the World. That's actually good. Two cards on top. So a lot of really good draws, but we also do have a couple of bad draws. Basically, only lightning bolts, lands, and Kolaghan's commands. Not Kolaghan's commands. Terminate. Kolaghan's would actually be pretty good. This might be Jace. Wielder of Mysteries. Target player puts the top 2 cards into the graveyard, draw a card. Yeah, do it. Don't care. Lightning Bolt. Thoughtseize I would really loved to have, but the Jace is gonna die anyway, so. And this is one of his win conditions as well, so I assume that he does not have access to... So I guess it's possible that he's sandbagging lands soon, due to the fact that, yeah, now it's great. Now we have a decent clock on the board, and we can just bounce Phyrexian on life, and he's not gonna get the combo through. That's great. Don't care about mana, which we also drew in excess. So one more turn. So the only way that we lose here, I think, is by our opponent having a Nauseam plus Force of Negation. Actually, I think I need to keep priority here. I think this... Well, that has split second, which is a bummer. But the lightning bolt's pretty good. So I'm pretty certain that our opponent's gonna bring in like ley lines. And we don't have really a whole lot of good things to bring in here. Ancestral Revision is alright. We could also bring in Kalitas if we have enough Force of Negations to back it up, or like to get it out at some point. The other option here will be Fulminator Mage. Now let's go with 2 Fulminators and 1 Kalitas, I guess. Kalitas, if it connects like 2 times or something, then our opponent's already gonna be hard pressed to win through Lightning Storm. Sash revisions, very good. So for the most part, we are not allowed to lose up until turn 4. I'm going to be a little bit cautious here with my life total, just in case we want to go there or we end up in a situation where so nimble would still be really, really good. And I think I'm going to target our opponent here with the Thought Scour, because we could always... Oh, shit. I was going to say we could always be hitting some sort of lands or... Alright, so Jace is annoying, but he cannot get it down this turn unless he draws. Asymmetric Spirit Guide as well. So this is not hyper relevant because he can still play it if he wants to. And that's 5, that's 6, but he double black, white. I'm gonna go after the City of Brass here. Lot. Can you win? Okay. Yeah, but that's fine. That is awkward. Like, I would have always traded these 2 cards for my Fulminator Mage here. Unless you can win this turn, of course. But I guess that's highly unlikely. Or not. So this is Jace, Cryptic, and Kalitas. Didn't play a land though. So I guess we're just gonna go return, draw, and then next turn we should be drawing a lot of cards. Simmons Spirit Guide. That's somewhat alright. I mean, yeah, it's not great for us. Okay. So next turn we can potentially go with Snapcaster, bounce the Jace. And we can't prevent anything else from happening here, as long as Rise Full and Thought Scour. He still didn't hit a land here. Very interesting indeed. That's 2 off. Our opponent also does have insane amounts of cards in hand. Alright, so hopefully we have it under control now. I'm gonna go Snapcaster, Thoughtseize him, or maybe Rise Full. Oh, maybe Thoughtseize with that many cards in hand. Because we don't, although we have like 20 cards in our graveyard, we didn't hit anything in terms of counter magic. So I think we were going to take the Summon Spirit Guide here. And then just counter. Maybe we don't even counter it. Like, he just doesn't have anything else. Also, he doesn't have anything to filter for Lightning Storm, and if we can keep the Jace under control, could also just go with an Angel's Grace, to be honest. Which one's better to take here? Probably the Angel's Grace. So what else is there? Like, we could of course go after the Lotus Bloom, like bounce it or whatever. But we know 6 of the 7 cards in his hand. And we also have lethal next turn. Alright. Now we're not going to do anything. 2, 3, 2, yeah. He won't be able to go through 3 counter spells here. Not with like 1 crack of the Lotus Bloom and this turn. Otherwise he could go with Spoils of the Vault. But if he did so, then he would probably be forced. So I think the spoilers is going for an Angel's Grace here. And I also assume that it's gonna kill him. Okay, so it didn't kill him. Actually, it didn't kill him. No, it did. Never mind. Good job. Alright, let's jump into the 5th round here. I actually love that decks like Ad Nauseam still exist and that they're still, out there. Just decks that do not have any creatures at all. Real solid combo decks. Because we haven't had those in the meta for quite a bit. I think even for a year now, Storm hasn't been a thing. Ad Nauseam hadn't been a thing for like years on out. There is Valakut and Tron like lingering in some degree, but that's more big mana than real combo. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. Alright, off to the last round for today. Against Zio. Alright, whatever it is, it's not Jund. And that's already a plus. Devoted Druid combo. Actually a deck that is more popular than one would think. It's really interesting. Yeah, so we have to go after the Druid here right now. And then somehow force our way into the deck here. Into the game, I mean. The problem is that the Devoted Druid deck is capable of just winning on 3 mana without anything on the battlefield whatsoever. As an all-out combo deck with blah 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 lunge. We shall probably see it. Eladami's call as a discard. That is not good. Okay, I had another one. Sure. Harbor Elf. Alright. So we could just go snap terminate, but I think we're going to go against the combo here, although that's a sorcery, but just a little more frightened of that than of the Karn. Vizier of Remedies is. Well, now he thought he'd be sneaky here in denying us the ability to counter the Karn, but that opens us for the possibility here of just Kolaganing his most two important pieces here. Hoof of Nissa, that's actually pretty good. Not if it hits a forest though. So we could be blocking here, but I think it's not yet time for that. At least our opponent's playing a lot of non-creature spells, and therefore I hope that this Force of Negation is not going to be completely dead. Yeah, let's counter that. It's not a great target, but still looking at 3 cards is not the worst thing either. Okay. We might start to just have to be a little more careful. Come on. It must be something that's bigger than 3. Or a Dryad Arbor that I can't take. Alright, we're starting to block here. It's insane that we're not drawing anything but lands. Otherwise we would have this under control. Oh, come on. Cannot believe it. Cannot believe this. Lol. Playing Utopia's Pro. Laugh so hard. Yes. Everything good went to the graveyard again, and we were left with lands. I just hate Thought Scour so much. Tap 3. That is a problem. So I'm gonna wait here and see. Well, he does have another land. Okay. So I don't think that he's playing. A collected company, and he's just like going for a path plus the Dramish call here. Oh yeah, he can play Finally of Devastation at instant speed with Teferi. That's of course also a thing. Well, we might be dead here. Do you want to get rid of both now? I think actually we want to go ahead here, have a look at what's going on. We can't respond anyway, therefore there's no use in just going with the land here. He actually did have another Finally of Devastation. My goodness. Yeah, can't do anything about it. Another Teferi. Interesting. So I believe the play here is just terminating the Vizier. And then he can probably go after his own Devoted Druid if he wants to reset it with the Teferi. But I'm actually waiting for an opportunity here. Oh, he's not even resetting anything. Okay. Just going with land. Which means now he definitely cannot be playing another Finally of Devastation to our demise. This is actually something that I was waiting for. A very good way of getting rid of Teferi at some point, but right now just want to go after the Druids here. And whatever he has in hand. just the planes. All right. So Snapcaster Mage at some point would be great. I'm not gonna lie. At least we know what he's going to draw here. Talus Tracker. Sure. So what are we doing now? Interesting. It's a land he would have played it. Do we take the risky line here? No, we can't. We gotta return that first and then have a look, just in case. Yeah, I don't care about the elf. And then next turn we can go Torpid the Teferi and then the Voodoo Druid kill something. Yeah. So hopefully it didn't draw a path there. And we're still waiting for Snapcaster to arrive. Sadly, that just doesn't happen. Again, we're flooding out pretty hard here. All right. Such a fucking retarded card. I hate this card so fucking much. Disgusting. Fucking disgusting. Oh my goodness. Yeah, sure. All right. I'm not going to say anything to the last game here. But anyhow, I had a pretty good league after all. Couple of pretty interesting insights here in where we might heading after Throne of Eldraine releases. Was pretty happy with the main board, with the sideboard. Being caught by Veil of Summer is just unfortunate and something that we cannot really play around. It's just too strong for what it does. And other than that, yeah, pretty happy. Hope you enjoyed the league and continue to watching the channel. So have a good weekend, guys, and see you around soon.